Hello, students. You are welcome to session 5 of Unit 2. And in this session, we are going to look at the factors that influence the design of the physics curriculum. And you, as a prospective teacher or as a teacher, if you are very much aware of the various factors that influence the design of the curriculum, then probably you also understand why those contents that you teach were selected, as well as the learning experiences that you have been exposing your learners to. And so this session is basically to help us understand the various factors that influence the design of the curriculum. My name is Patrick Ejay. Now, at the end of this session, you should be able to explain how the following factors influences the design of the curriculum. And these factors are the political factors, the social factors, the economic factors, technological factors, and environmental factors. Now let's zoom in to find out how these factors mentioned influence the design of the curriculum. So we will start with how political factors influence curriculum design. And you and I will attest to the fact that politics has really influenced the design of the curriculum. For instance, in Ghana, our educational system, that is the senior high system, some years was run for 3 years. There was a time it was run for 4 years. Then it came back to 3 years. So, because of how this has been happening in our educational system, we can say that education is regarded as a political activity. And because it is a political activity, every nation has their national ideology and philosophy, how the education of the country should be. And this national ideology and philosophy influences our educational system. And it influences it because it is politics that determine and define the goals, the content, learning experiences, as well as the evaluation strategies in education. So, what will be the content of the curriculum is determined by politics. What will be the learning experiences, how we should do evaluation, how we evaluate the teaching learning strategies, how we evaluate learners, all these are being influenced by politics. And secondly, the curriculum materials and how they are interpreted are also influenced by political considerations. Also, political considerations play a part when it comes to hiring of personnel. Now, we all know that before the Ministry of Education can recruit personnel into the teaching profession or the non-teaching aspect of the educational unit, it must first receive financial clearance from the Ministry of Finance. And until the Finance Ministry gives that financial clearance to them, they cannot recruit personnel into the service. And so politics determine when and how we should recruit, and even the number that must be taken into the service at every point in time. Also, funding of education is also influenced by politics. So, when it comes to projects, buildings in various senior high schools, which projects should go into this school, all these projects are being funded by the government. And because they are being funded by government, they are also influenced by political decisions. And entry into educational institutions and the examination systems are also influenced by politics. And you realize that the Ministry of Education will tell us that a student who gets this raw score should enter into senior high school. Once you have this number of grade, you can enter into the senior high school. So you realize that all these political considerations influence the curriculum, that is, when it comes to entry into the educational institutions. We will secondly look at how social factors influences the curriculum. And we must understand that society has their own expectations about the aims and objectives that should be considered when we are designing the curriculum. And also, the society has their own perception about what the product of the school system should look like. So every individual who comes out of the school system, society has their own way of looking at this person, that once you have gone through the school system, then you must be morally upright. So that is the perception of the society when it comes to the school system. And for this reason, it is necessary that designers of the curriculum take into account these societal considerations. Let's take this example. You realize that in your community, we have different religious groups that coexist in your community. So in Ghana as a whole, the same thing also exists. And because we have different religious groups that coexist, whenever we are designing the curriculum, it must factor in the various religious bodies that coexist, the various groups of people that coexist in the community. So you realize some time ago, the education ministry had wanted to introduce sexuality education into the basic school curriculum. And you realize that different religious groups, different groups in the society spoke on this issue from different perspectives. And because they had different views on it, at the end of the day, the ministry could not incorporate this into the basic school curriculum. And so, we are saying that because the curriculum that is being designed is purposely to serve a society, the content, the materials must accommodate the culture of the society that it is intended to help or to serve. Let's also look at how economic factors influences curriculum design. And you will understand that the reasons why education is being financed by the government is to improve the economy of the nation, and so that the products of the educational system can be productive citizens. And so, because the nation finances the education, or the nation finances the education so that the country can be improved, the national curriculum should concern itself with the requirements of the economy. And the skills needed by industry should be translated into the content and experiences of the learners. So whatever the industry is looking out for, they need this caliber of persons. They need this caliber of students. These must be the skills that should be translated in terms of the content and learning experiences that will be given to the learners in our various educational systems. And so, the skills, the knowledge base, and the attitudes that are required by industry should be developed in the classroom, so that once students come out of the school system, they can be fed into the various industries. Now, you also observe that you as a teacher, myself as a teacher, we need teaching learning materials such as textbooks, we need charts, we need equipment. As science teachers, we need chemicals. For practical sessions, as a physics teacher, you will need, for instance, let's say when you want to do physics experiments, you need things, if it is electricity, you need things like dry cells, you need power supplies, you will need rheostats and other stuff. All these are being produced in the industry. And in the industry, it is the individuals who come out of the school system who will be fed into the industries to produce these materials that you and we will need in the teaching learning process. And you realize that when these materials are not there, teaching and learning become very difficult. And so at the end of the day, you'll be teaching and the learners will be finding it difficult to understand what you are trying to put across. And so it is crucial that a serious consideration be given to the economic demands of the nation whenever we are designing the curriculum. Also, technology also has its own influence when it comes to the design of curriculum. And you realize that the computer is the latest technological innovation which is also having significant impact on the education and the society. Now, in this era, every teacher you are expected to be computer literate. And so, how do we ensure that the learners who are also who we are also teaching, become or they have basic computer skills? So, in our educational system now, the educational system is said that right from preschool, right from basic school, computing has been introduced there, so that learners will acquire basic computer skills, basic computer knowledge. So, and even at the university, we still want you as a learner to acquire these basic computer skills. So, for instance, let me cite an example from the University of Cape Coast. In your final year, that is at the level 400, there is a course called Computer Applications in Science Education, which is basically to introduce you, the learner, to various technological innovations that you will need in your teaching and learning process. And in addition to these computers, other forms of electronic media are being used in teaching. So the use of projectors in your teaching, the use of YouTube videos, the use of the PhET interactive simulation in teaching. All these are electronic media that we can incorporate in our teaching. But you realize that when your technological base is very weak, it becomes difficult for you to integrate these forms of media into your teaching and learning. And so, because of these various media we have that can help us to, improve on our teaching and learning, these have also provided a variety of learning experiences, and they are also able to facilitate individualized learning. Finally, you look at how the environment also influences curriculum design. And it could be observed that the activities of man have led to the pollution of the environment. A typical example is the depletion of the ozone layer. You and I will attest to the fact that the ozone layer protects us from harmful radiations, but it has been depleted. So how do we ensure that this ozone layer, which is being depleted, is prevented from further depletion? It is through education that remediation can be effected. And so, consideration for the protection of the environment must be taken into consideration whenever we are designing the curriculum to ensure the survival of future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have looked at the various factors that influence curriculum design. And the factors were the political, the social, economic, technological, as well as environmental factors. This brings us to the end of this session, and I hope you enjoyed session 5 of Unit 2. Thank you for your time, and thank you for joining this session. Hoping and I hope to see you in the final session of Unit 2. Bye.